Happy Saturday, Baseball Way of Lifers. How's everybody doing? Hope you're enjoying the weekend. Today, we are doing one of our 2021 team previews, and the team we have chosen for today is the Seattle Mariners. A lot of prognosticators saying the Mariners won't be in the mix this year. They have a very young team, a lot of question marks, but I will say this as someone who kind of thinks he knows baseball. Patience is a virtue because I think the Seattle Mariner team is up and coming and on its way to make its move. The future is bright. I may have to go get some shades because it is that bright for them if I ever go to a game in Seattle because they are stocked in the minor league system. They got a few young players already on the team that look like team can build around in the future. And this year is a question mark. You never say never just due to the fact that you don't know what's going to happen. Again, the A's have question marks. The Astros have question marks. It's still, in my opinion, better than the Mariners this year. But anything can happen in baseball. So of all the teams not expected to compete for a pennant this year, my long shot probably would be the Seattle Mariners, and I'd have to look at maybe another team or so, but I'm very high on the Mariners. Now, the Mariners have been around since 1977. They have been a member of the AL West all this time. It's kind of tough when you're playing out in the Northwest to get media attention on the East Coast and get any kind of national exposure on primetime games, etc. But it also helps when you have a winning team to get exposure. Now, the Mariners had good runs with Lou Piniella as manager in the 90s and early 2000s, but they still have not gotten to the World Series, and they are the only team never to get to a World Series, the only franchise never get to a World Series. So consequently, they've never won a World Series. They did win division titles, 95, 97, 2001. As you remember, 2001, they were lights out with 116 wins. They were one of the sexiest teams in baseball during that period of like late 90s, early 2000s. Mariners they had so many great players. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., A-Rod, Edgar Martinez. I mean, you go right down the list. It was fantastic. And, of course, Randy Johnson had already moved on by then, but he was another one that was lights out for the Mariners. So they had some bona fide superstars, Hall of Famers. I know A-Rod will probably not get to the Hall of Fame, but they already have Hall of Famers in Edgar, Ken Griffey Jr., and who was the other guy I mentioned? Oh, well. Sorry about that. And they did have a wild card in the year 2000. Let's see now. Their home ballpark is T-Mobile Ballpark, very beautiful ballpark, and that replaced the Kingdome. The Kingdome had, I guess it's sort of like the Tampa Bay Stadium, where it had its own character. It could be loud in there, just like the old Metrodome was for Minnesota. But as a fan, it was not pleasing to the eyes when you were watching on television. I'm so glad they're in T-Mobile now. Although their most success in their history occurred while they were at the Kingdome. So that's how people remember the Mariners. But hopefully one day T-Mobile Park will have its own identity too. And maybe we'll have some very memorable games at T-Mobile. As we remember the 95 American League Division Series against the Yankees. That was the coming out party for the Mariners when they knocked off the Yankees in that 5-game series. That may be one of the most exciting non-World Series playoff series of all time. And Edgar Martinez and Ken Griffey Jr., they all came through. It was Donnie Mattingly's last hurrah. So to this day, people remember that. Usually people don't remember division series. They'll remember like the World Series. They'll remember the League Championship Series. But that was one hell of a series, and that one will never be forgotten. And then in 2001, everyone thought for sure the Mariners would win it all when they won 116 games. They put together one of the greatest seasons of all time. Everyone produced in that lineup. I think Brett Boone even had over 30 home runs for that team that year. So they matched the all-time career high for wins in one season with the 1906 Chicago Cubs. And that was their highlight. And then you have, let's see here, their all-time one-loss record is 3,246 and 3,655. So they basically have been a losing franchise, 470%. And as I said, 3 Hall of Famers, Ken Griffey Jr., Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez. Now, Ken Griffey Jr. and Edgar Martinez are the only 2 Mariners to have their numbers retired. The Mariners are very strict about retiring their numbers. Basically, you have to be elected to the Hall of Fame and have played at least 5 years. So in that regard, Randy Johnson is eligible, and I think one day he will be retired. I'm not sure what the delay is. Maybe some Mariner fans out there can help me out with that one. But he would be the only one who fits under that criteria. And then the second criteria is you have to play your whole career and have very outstanding achievements on the playing field and off the field for the Mariners, I believe the criteria is. So they're very stringent on that. So, and like every other team, they have Jackie Robinson's number retired. So the Mariners have had some really great players on in their history. I bet a lot of people don't even realize that, when you don't think about these things, that they never made it to the World Series. But the Lou Piniella years, they were one of the team. They were one of. It's amazing they couldn't win. They sort of had that Atlanta Braves stigma to them. But don't give up. I think the future is brighter for the Mariners coming up. And we're going to go over to 2021 team right now. I kind of really do like this lineup that the Mariners have. Their projected starting lineup is J.P. Crawford at shortstop. I think a lot of people think J.P.'s been around forever, and he has. And he was touted as to be one of the future superstars in baseball. But I think what people forget to realize is J.P. is only 25 years old, so he's just like a prospect, really. If he can come into his own and solidify that shortstop position, because he could pick it at shortstop, I do like him as a shortstop and a leadoff hitter. Mitch Haniger is getting to the point now where I think this could be his last year. He's up for option. I'm not sure about that, but he's a solid bat. I mean, he can put up some numbers for you. Hits the ball hard, and the number 2 spot. If he lives up to his potential, he'd be a great second batter in the hole. And Kyle Lewis, the future is his. I mean, it's time for Kyle to shine. And I think he will. He's amazing, to be honest with you. And I think he could win over that town. He has that bubbly personality. And I think Mariner fans are going to love him. I think the baseball world's going to love him for a long time. Kyle Seager, it seems like he's been there forever. And I guess some question marks are going to be raised on how long, if the Mariners feel he's part of the future. But this year, he probably will be their cleanup hitter. And Kyle's another one that provides a lot of pop. And he's put up good slugging numbers and a solid third baseman. So I kind of like Kyle in the 4 hole. The designated hitter and projected to bat 5th is Ty France. I think he come up with a better DH than Ty France, but I guess he's a good enough hitter to, bat in the 5 hole, but we shall see. Dylan Moore is the projected second baseman. Not much for him. I don't really have high hopes for Dylan Moore. We'll see what happens. Is he just filling out a spot, or is he going to be the future? Dylan Moore's 28, so it could very well be he's just filling time at this point until they find a better replacement. Evan White was the player that they signed to a long-term deal a few years ago, and it shocked the baseball world. Why are they committing to Evan White? But Evan White, he's not a bad hitter. He doesn't hit for much of an average, but he can hit home runs. And the 7-hole on first base, I guess they got him locked up with the long-term contract. So uh, we'll see about Evan. And Tom Murphy is the catcher. He is not going to provide you much. He is, I hate to say it, but he is, hopefully, he's a great catcher defensively because he doesn't have much pop in his bat at all. And we shall see what happens with Tom. And then in left field, we have Jake Fraley. Uh, again, another guy without much pop. So the ironic thing is the Mariners, like 1 through 5, have a halfway decent lineup, a lot of pop there, but it's 6 through 9 that they have a lot of weaknesses. So they're going to need to work on that. And, like I said, it's a year they're not expecting much from the Mariners. So hopefully they're building the foundation, and we'll see what happens from there. The bench, notable players are Louis Torrens at catcher, Shed Wong Jr. infield outfielder, and Braden Bishop on the outfield. Again, these guys are just basically placeholders. I mean, you're not going to build a franchise around these guys. The starting rotation is what catches my eye for a team that isn't expected to be that competitive. Marco Gonzalez is going to be the big man, and James Paxton too. If James Paxton can stay healthy, that 1-2 punch is going to be good. Now, you're not going to see a rotation like the Mariners where they have 4 left-handed starters as their top 4 starting pitchers. So we'll see how they can survive the year with that if they all stay healthy with teams that are predominantly right-handed batters. But when you're good, and it doesn't matter what side of the rubber you're throwing from. But Marco Gonzalez, he was a number 1 draft pick by the Cardinals, and he's landed with the Mariners, and he is a good pitcher. I mean, he's not a lights out strikeout guy like most of these young guys are today, but he knows how to pitch, and that's always a welcome relief these days. He doesn't give up many walks, and I think he can give you a lot of innings, and that would be nice if he did. James Paxton is the one that has unlimited potential, but James can never stay healthy. Maybe coming back home, he'll regain his old touch and start throwing lights out again. It didn't really work out for him in New York. I'm not sure health-wise, the pressure playing in the Big Apple really helped him. But hopefully the change of scenery coming back home is what does the trick for him. Yusei Kikuchi, a lot of high hopes for him. He's the free agent pitcher they signed from Japan. I'm not sure if he's going to be a 1 or 2 type starter, but hopefully he can fill the number 3 or 4 role for them this year. Justice Sheffield, the man that originally was with Cleveland, they got him from the Yankees. Again, he's another guy that they're hoping they just can get innings for. I had higher hopes for him a few years ago, but I don't think he's ever going to live up to his potential that he had a few years ago. And Justin Dunn is the big question mark for the Mariners. He's a righty. A lot of teams had high hopes from him. He was drafted in the first round, just like Justice Sheffield. But he's had control problems, and he really doesn't have the ability to strike out batters like originally hoped. So maybe a pitching coach can work with him and straighten him out a little bit, and he could be a good number 4 or 5 starter for the Mariners. The bullpen is going to be led by Rafael Montero. Rafael Montero, I don't know if you guys recall this or not, but he was in the farm system with the Mets when they had Matt Harvey. And a lot of people even thought he had better stuff than Matt Harvey. He just never got it together, never had the good chance to shine with the Mets. For whatever reason, things just didn't work out opportunity-wise or health-wise. But he is going to be the go-to guy for the Mariners. He's become a flamethrower out of the bullpen, and he's gotten his control somewhat down. He's tamed his wildness, so he will be their ace. And then Kendall Graveman will be the other guy out of the bullpen. Probably the setup man for Montero. I don't know about him, to be honest with you. And then Anthony Mizowitz is the other guy that they're probably looking at as a second or third setup man. I'd rather go with Anthony, to be honest with you, than Kendall Graveman, but we shall see. And then the rest are all question marks in my eyes. I mean, Bullpens are funny these days. It's a variable. You never know who's going to do well, who's not going to do well from year to year. So hopefully a couple of these guys stick for him. If not, it could be a long year in the pen. And as I was saying, the future looks very, very bright for the Seattle Mariners. So bright, like I said before, you might want to put your shades on. The two big guns, they could have the outfield of the future soon with Jared Kelenic and Julio Rodriguez. They're both top 20 prospects in the major leagues. Kelenic is currently rated as number 5 prospect in baseball, and Rodriguez is number 20. Kelenic, a lot of people think he should start the season with them, but that's that whole, there's a big controversy with the management about whether or not they should bring up Kelenic now. They're going to hold him back to get an extra year eligibility, which I think is wrong. Let the kid play, but he's projected to come up this year. And Gonzalez is early 2022, so he may, who knows, he could even come up later in the year too, depending how the season goes for both him and the Mariners. And then there's a couple of pitchers that are looking good in the Mariners organization. Logan Gilbert, Emerson Hancock, and George Kirby. And they're all right-handed pitchers, so they can complement the lefties if they can make it in time. The one pitcher that is expected to make it early in probably middle of this season is Logan Gilbert. And we'll see how he works out. He's got good stuff, and we'll take it from there, I guess. So like I said, the Mariners, it's very, very promising for them. I like them wholeheartedly. I like to see J.P. Crawford start to shine. Gonzalez come into his own as a starting pitcher. I guess Ty France and Dylan Moore and Shed Wong, they're all going to be guys that we'll find out what they can do. And then there's Mitch Haniger and Kyle Seager. They're coming to the end of the road. Do they want to keep playing with the Mariners? They got to prove it on the field. But as I said before, this is going to be a great year for the Mariners. I can't say enough about their future. If I was a fan of the Mariners, I'd be very excited about it. Like I said, the future is looking brighter for them. So that's it. That's my little, analysis of 2020 Mariners. I hope you liked it. If you did, please comment you liked it in the comments field. If you didn't, please say you didn't like it. If you want to see everything that comes up on these Baseball Way of Life videos on the YouTube channel, subscribe and you'll get updated when something new pops up. I usually put one of these a day on the group site. The rest you'll find on the YouTube channel. So again, I want to thank you all for being a part of the greatest baseball group in the world on Facebook. And thanks for watching these videos. It means a lot to me, and hopefully you're liking them. And like I said, you guys are the best. So for now, I just want to say have a great day, play ball, and adios.